Hi. So today's lesson is about breath control. And what we're going to practice is humming. The reason that humming works for breath control is it's a very slow exhale while you hum. Your lips are closed. And so the air is coming out of your nose very slowly. And that air pressure pushing out through your nose keeps water from going inside. The exception is if you invert, like if you do a front somersault, you have to blow a bit harder to keep the water from working its way up into your sinuses. That's because the nostrils come back into here from down here into the sinuses, where normally when we're breathing through our nose, it gets warmed up and moistened before it goes into our lungs. Then when we exhale, it gets pushed back out through there. If we do it by humming, it's a very, very slow thing. That's why you're able to hum for a period of time before you need to take a breath. And so we're going to practice this together. So what you do is you take a deep breath and then hum. Take a breath. Hum. So this repeated breathing is what we refer to as rhythmic breathing in swimming. Now, you're not hearing Michael Phelps hum, but he's exhaling at a rate that allows him to time his next breath. So he's exhaling through his nose slowly. And because of that control of the exhale and a quick breath in, he's able to keep his head in a really good position in the water, which is below the surface. Now, it may seem counterintuitive that your breathing is done with the head in the water. But if you think about it, when a person lifts their head, say my hand is my head, I lift my head in the water, the body sinks because the head of an adult weighs about 14 pounds. And so when you lift it out of the water, everything else has to submerge for the buoyancy to keep you up at the surface. And being in that more upright position means everything that you do to move through the water is helping hold your head up instead of pushing you towards, say, shore or the edge of the pool. By keeping the head in a more neutral position, like you are when you stand and you're looking at someone face to face. Then you're like this. If you are in a neutral position with your head, you're mostly submerging your head. Maybe the back of your head is above the surface. And maybe a little bit of your shoulder is above the surface, and maybe a little bit of your hip is above the surface. But having your face in the water like that and your head down in the water is a very neutral, balanced position for the body in the water. And so all the kicking and pulling that you do propels you across the surface. Now, for this breathing to work, we have to also learn to get our face out of the water. And so now we're going to add a turn of the head to this rhythmic breathing. So we're going to start by turning our head to the shoulder, taking a breath, and then humming as we turn back to a neutral position. As we complete the hum, we're going to finish the hum with our chin back by our shoulder. Take a breath, and then going back to neutral. This is what we do in the freestyle swim. So our goal is to be able to hum, turn our head, take a breath, and then hum some more, looking straight ahead of ourselves, and then turning back while humming. Take another breath, hum, rotate back to neutral. So it looks like this. So that's today's lesson. Practice that. You want to practice this for a few days before your first lesson. Now, there are positions where you stay on your front, and so turning your head to your shoulder won't get your face clear to take a breath. In that case, you would have to lift your head up while you pull yourself forward so that your body actually does this briefly, where the body starts to drop and then put the face back in and level off while you hum. The key thing is to be humming before your face submerges, while it's submerged, and while it's coming back up from not being submerged, so that the water surface is broken by your mouth, so you can take a quick breath. And then you're submerging again. You keep humming throughout the time when your face is still in the water or going into the water. If you do that, you won't get water up your nose. So practice that. Practice the head turn and humming before you turn your head back after a breath, and humming while you bring your face back to where you take a breath. If you keep practicing that, it's going to help you a lot, because that's basically what you'd have to do during a freestyle. Practice one side and then practice the other side an equal number of times. Don't go back to the first time, practice that side, and practice the other side an equal number of times. If you like, you can practice the humming with one side, come back, you're humming, you're paused in this position, the neutral position, and then turning to the other shoulder to take a breath. Make sure you pause in the neutral position, because what we don't want to see is that's too fast. That's hyperventilation. So you want to just learn to practice that in a calm, relaxed way. That's the end of your first lesson on rhythmic breathing.